What changed for you? Was it something physically? Was it something mentally? Was it a coach? Was it a mentor? Was it a teammate? Something that kind of changed the way that you thought about who you were as a player?
Yeah.
You kind of said, F the business. I'm going to be the best player I could be.
Yeah.
And at some point in your career, you realize, hey, I want to be a Toronto Blue Jay, but there's 29 other teams out there. If I just continue to ball,
Right.
I'm going to get an opportunity somewhere.
Yeah, and that never came to mind. But like during the season, during that 2000 season, being in Syracuse and struggling more so mentally than anything else, just like, why am I here? And dealing with those emotions and in baseball, especially hitting, like it's already hard enough. And if our mind is someplace else, it makes hitting a whole lot harder than it already is. So I was struggling, and out of nowhere, Deion Sanders decides he wants to try to make a comeback in baseball and ends up in Syracuse, New York, of all places. I'm like, I don't know what you're doing here, but this is really weird. And he was really bad. Like baseball wasn't his thing anymore. Like he was just doing it so Daniel Snyder would end up signing him to another deal, which it worked. But we watched Deion, and he'd make out after out after out, and everybody else would make outs, and they'd come back to the dugout and just the water fountain was broken, the bat rack was beat up, the helmet rack was beat up, because it was the helmet's fault or the water fountain's fault or the bat rack's fault we made outs. But he'd come back, he'd put his helmet up, no big deal, just continue going on about his business. We're like, this is weird. Like, why is he acting this way? And then, sure enough, we finally figured out he'd disappear after BP at home, and we finally found him. He was in the back room reading the Bible. And his perspective on life was just different. He's like, I'm blessed to be able to play this game, and if fail or succeed, it's not going to determine how I conduct myself, how I treat people, how I treat this game, and how I treat life. So at that point, I was like, oh, I think my perspective is wrong. Like I think I have my priorities in the wrong place. At that point is where everything switched for me, and I attack life differently. I changed everything in my life to be more about him as opposed to result driven. And I went into spring training that next year, and I got sent back down again, but I hit 360 in spring training. Got sent back down. I was like, it's just not written for me. I'm going to go enjoy myself in AAA until it's my time. And
this is 2000.
That was 2001.
2001.
2001 was
that
next
wild
year.
How a guy like Deion Sanders coming in kind of really changed your perspective on pretty much everything, not just baseball, but life.
Like my life changed just by watching him conduct himself. And I tell people that story, and they're like, Deion? I was like, yeah, oddly enough, Deion.
That is wild.
So 2001, you have a great spring training. Your mindset's different. Mm-hmm. It's not my time. You go down, you go dominate AAA.
Yeah.
You get a call-up win.
I get a call-up early on in that season, May-ish, for about a week. Get a few hits, hit a homer, get sent back down just because whoever was hurt was game healthy. I was like, all right, cool. Get called back up, September call-up, hit over 300, and that's when I realized, okay, this is when I'm going to be here.
Did the next spring, so 2002 comes, and so now you've burned an option in 2000, you burned an option in 2001, so you have one option left in 2002. Did knowing that, like, as long as you play, you were going to force their hand regardless, was that also like a factor in like you just kind of being like, I'm going to hit when I can hit, and if they, like they got to play me sometime, or they got to send me somewhere to play.
Yeah. I'm sure it did play in the back of my mind, but I think once I finished out that 2001 season in the big leagues and hit well and established myself as like, okay, I can play at this level, and everyone around me can see that I can play at this level. And I didn't have the same struggles that I had early on. I could hit the ball the other way. I could do things that I wasn't capable of doing at that level and show it. And so when I got to spring training in 2002, it was just like, okay, let's go make this roster, and let's never see the minor leagues again.
And that's what happened.
That's what happened.